All right. Okay, guys. Okay, today I wanted to teach a new a new strategy. It's a popular tool that I'm sure some of us already are familiar with, only that I want to explain to you how I go about trading my own. I'm talking about the Fibonacci tool. So I'm not going to be going into details about how they came about the numbers. I just want you to understand that a lot of traders, good traders, profitable traders use this stuff from time to time because it works. It usually works with a trend. So the concept of the tool is that you are trying to figure out the point at which there's going to be a retracement. You know, every trend there's an impulse move, there's a retracement. For instance, let me show you one. For instance, you can see this. This is an impulse move upside, then it's retraced, then it went up again. So that's what we call impulse and retracement. So, and you always see it from time to time in the markets, either going down or going up. You always see it, you know. So that's how you understand which cycle of the trade you are. Are you in a what's it called? Are you in a short or buy? You know, are you in a long trend? Are you in a short trend? You know, those kind of stuff. So that's how you understand those things. Anyways, so that's the concept of the strategy. You're trying to figure out where is the best, or at what point exactly is it going to retrace back to follow the typical trend. Now, how I trade is a little bit different. I have different points, different settings, which is different. And those different settings does different things for me. So let me just go straight to the video and show you a couple of examples so that you can also start trying this thing and showing me your results. Because this strategy actually works. It works a lot. The win rate is really good. And I know you're going to be profitable with this. So let me just explain. All right. So whenever you want to, whenever you think probably you're in a buy trend and you're looking for a retracement. So buy, that means the trade is going up. So for that reason, you start the point from the lowest point to the top, to the point you are trying to trace. So this is my own Fibonacci. You can see my top point, which will be 0 for many of you. I put it as TP1, and my bottom is still 100. So let me just quickly explain what all of these things mean before we go ahead. So you can see my bottom is the 100. Then you can see, if you can, there's a small line here called grace. You see here is my entry. Here is ready. This is my entry. Is my entry. You see here is break even. You see here close sum. You see here is TP1. I also have TP2 also. So this is typically my stop loss. This 100 here. That's typically my SL. But I also have another line just below it, which I call grace. Now, why do I have the grace? Let me start with that. So this is my SL, my stop loss. But I keep this grace because whenever I enter a trade, and let's say I enter a trade, and immediately as I enter the trade did not even try to reverse, but it just started going down. And he wants to hit my stop loss. Sometimes I give an allowance, a little bit of allowance. I just draw it down a little bit to this point where grace is. And the reason why I do that is because for those of you that know how to trade, there are some kind of patterns they call W pattern, M pattern, which means that at some point, even though a trade is like a support or a resistance, sometimes trade will want to get back to that same point before it moves again. And that's if this is the beginning of the trend and I put my stop loss here at 100, if something like that happens, it will just touch my stop loss and it will keep going forward. So I would have lost that trade even though my analysis was right. So because of that, sometimes I give a little bit of, that's why I call it grace. When I see that happening, I just draw it down a little bit to that point of grace. And I'm really firm with that, because if it goes beyond that grace, I believe the structure has been broken. And for that reason, we have to look for another In fact, I think there's an example of that here. Let me quickly. Yes, I think I have an example of that right here. I didn't even see that before. See this, although this is a different thing, but look at this. This is my 100%. You can see that after everything has happened, this thing came back to that 100%, and it shoots over the 100% just a little bit. I'm talking about this candle here. You know, it shoots about the 100% just a little bit. So in a case like this, I would have drawn, when it was coming close, I would have drawn the grace. So because of that, now I will still be in the trade. You can see immediately the thing started going forward again. It went forward for, you see, went back to buy. Meanwhile, I would have lost that trade just because, you know, it just came back to test it, touch it, then it went its way. So because of that, I leave this allowance of grace. So that's why it's there. So everything on my Fibonacci has a meaning. There's a reason why I leave it like that. Because it's something I've been testing, I've been using for a long time. I've tested it, I know how it works in and out. And I've decided to also teach you. Okay, so whenever my trade gets to break even, I break even. Let me give an example. So now we are here, you can see this trade. This is the top, right? And this is the bottom. Then it started coming back. I put my tool there. Whenever I see the top and the bottom, I just put my tool there and I draw, what's it called? And I set a trade, pending order at my entry level. I just leave it there, entry level. Sometimes it doesn't get there, but I'm fine. But anytime it gets there, my chances of winning are very high. Sometimes I might lose trades. In fact, one thing I want to, if there's any little downside to this, is that you may not always get trades every day. But again, the good thing about this is that you can trade it on all pairs. It works for all pairs, even index. So at least you should see a pair that will give you some analysis. But if you're only trading like me, because lately I've been trading few pairs, I don't trade as many pairs as possible. So you may not be able to trade every day. But the few times you have trades, your trades are usually good. So let's go. So here it came to my entry and it went in my direction. So it got to, so what I do when it gets here, when it gets to my direction and it gets to break even. So remember, 100 is my stop loss. When it gets to my break even, what I typically do is that I bring the trade to break even as soon as the trade goes in my direction this much. So before I even talk about that, you see this is my stop loss, 29. This is my TP1, is my actual take profit. So I'm risking 1% or whatever percent. The risk to reward is like 1.1 to 2.5 or 2.4. I'm risking 29 and I want to gain 65. It's more, yeah, 1 to 2.4 thereabout. That's the risk to reward if you wait till here. However, I still have TP2. But sometimes, just between me and you, sometimes I close my trades at here, close some. And the reason for that is what, because the way I trade most of the time, anytime I get anything 1.5, I'm okay. Or I just close some. It depends on the mood I am in, but this is my target, TP1. And the reason why I'll explain that, because most times, anytime the trade gets to this close sum, there's usually a reaction. Anytime the market gets to that place, there's usually a very sporadic reaction. It's either you see a reaction that will retrace back to your entry, or you will see a big reaction that will just move straight to your TP. One of the two will happen. You see that the market rejects your price and it wants to go back to your entry point, or something really happens at that point. There's just a massive push, and it goes to your TP1. That is why at this point, because anything can happen, I would just say close sum. And I determine whenever I want to close. I might bring my TP to ready. I can bring my trade to ready, or I can even bring it up here. Just, it depends. You will also decide your own. I just want to teach you the strategy, then you work on the parameters. So that's what I do. As I enter the trade here, if I leave the trade, you see the trade, as soon as it got here, eventually we won TP1. But this is how I would have traded it for the most part. You know, if I was the one trading it, this is what I would have done. I would have entered the trade here. You can trade it anyhow. I'm just teaching you how, because anyone works. I would have entered the trade here. As soon as it hit this place, which is the break even, I would have brought my trade to break even. I would have brought my trade to break even. You see, it did not get to this close sum, but as soon as it was close to that place, you see there was a very rapid reaction, and the trade came back down. It came back to entry point. So this thing would have hit me out at entry point. But the good thing is that because it hit me out at entry point, and this is still an entry, I would have entered again here. And I'll still continue the same process. Entry. As soon as it gets to break even, I will still bring my trade to break even. Because the thing, I believe that it's better for you to preserve your money than to just lose. However, it depends on how you want to trade. You can use your own risk management. I'm just teaching you the way I have been doing it. Anyways, so I'll enter the trade here. When it comes to break even, I put my stuff at break even. Then it's tried to break it. It almost touched my entry again, but it didn't. Then it went up to close sum. At this close sum here, then I will determine whatever I want to do. Sometimes I bring my trade to ready at this point. Or sometimes I'm aggressive, I just bring it to this place so that even if it's going to retrace back, I would have gained more than I would have gained, because at this point, at this break-even point, that's 1-to-1. So even if, it depends on me at that time, or I just leave it, because like I said, it's either this thing retraces and it hits you back, or it retraces and it wins. So at this point, the reaction went in my favor and it hit my TP1. So you see, in this particular setting now, I would have won 2.5 from this trade. So the risk to reward is really good and it's really effective. So that's why I like this strategy. So that is one. I would have won this trade. Very good. Now, but the thing now is, so when you win the trade, you can see that the structure now has changed. So this now becomes the new low. So in that case, we look for probably another setting. Now there's something I wanted to, but let me leave it for now. I'll talk about it in another video about when this happens. Because typically what I've noticed that, in fact, I used to have TP2, but what I've noticed that anytime a trade hits my TP1 and it hits my TP1 and it goes forward, I'm usually expecting a reversal. Usually, I'm expecting a reversal. So sometimes the trend still goes further, but typically I'm expecting a reversal. Anyways, so that's by the way. So let's now say we've won that one. This is a new trade. You see here, it did not. Okay, so eventually he hit my very good. So these are the kind of stuff that would have hit my grace, because the moment I would have entered the trade, I said I would pending order. I would have entered the trade here. It just kept coming back heavy and it would have hit me out. No problem with that. The reason why there's no problem with that is because all of a sudden that trade that hit me out now has shown me that there's a chance that the trend has changed from buy to sell. That is not always the truth, but sometimes that is how I would take it, that okay, we are no longer buying since the structure has changed, because this was the high. Now it has posted a new high, and this high is now lower than the previous high. So I will assume that now the trend has changed from buy to sell. So anytime it hits me out like that, that's what I assume. Okay, that means the trend has changed. So I don't trip. It's just 1%. But when I win, I'm winning 2-point-something%. So it's okay. So in that case, then I will, let me delete this one so that you understand. I bring it. When we are selling, we come from the top, okay, to the bottom. This was where it hit me out. So this is the new trend. This is the top. This is the new high to the bottom. So this is the top to the bottom. So you can use this. Yeah. So you top to the bottom, you see at this place, sorry about that. It did not hit my entry. So because of that, but rather instead of hitting my entry, it formed a new low. So we come to this new low also. All right. So now it hits so we see the trade here. It hits my entry point. So this trade would have triggered here. Remember, I said I used pending order for the most part. Anytime I can figure out the stuff, I just keep checking. If the structure is still available, I leave it there. If it has changed, I adjust accordingly. So it would have triggered here. And I would have entered the trade like normal. So when I enter the trade, triggers here, you see, it entered the trade, it moves in my direction, it gets to break even. It gets to break even. I think I've told you about my break even for me. As soon as it gets to break even, I bring my trade to break even, just like he has advised. Then it moves here, then it comes to close sum. What did I tell you about close sum? Anytime it gets to close sum, there is usually a reaction either to reverse or a reaction to go further to win my trade. That's why sometimes you see I put close sum, because here I'm expecting a reaction. So sometimes I just close my whole trade also, but most of the time I just close half of my trade, half of my position. You know, I can either bring it to this point if I'm relaxed, or sometimes I'm aggressive. I just bring my trade to this place so that even if it goes back, I would have won some of it. And you see in this particular place, when it got to the close sum, it triggered, instead of it to win, it went back further. If I went back further to the point, it would have hit me out somewhere because I would have closed some of my trades. So hit the entry again. It hits the entry again. So the good thing is that it hits my entry. So because I would have closed some position here, then I would have been triggered, that same stuff, I would have been triggered into another entry. But I would have entered here again if I didn't set whatever. Because that's because the structure is still the same. The structure is still the same. And the reason why I still use this structure is because it has not hit my TP1. The only time most time I change this setting. If it has hit my TP1, then I'm looking for a structure. I'm looking for a new. What am I trying to say is that this high, this higher high is still valid. But if you go to lower time frame, you can still trade this little, these minor structures. If you go to lower time frame, but that's not the teaching of today. I just want to teach you how I trade this stuff so that you can have an idea. So you see, it triggered here again. It almost hit my stop loss. And this is what I was trying to tell you about grace, because sometimes, you have sort of like W pattern. Which is what this thing is almost trying to form here. You see, this is what it's trying to form here. So and this W, sometime you might want to touch the last place it touched, and that's why I leave the opportunity for grace. So that's another strategy. Some other time we'll talk about that one later. Some other time. Anyways, so it triggered my trade, and as soon as it triggered my trade, you see that it came. It almost hit my stop loss, but it did not. It came. It hit my break even. When it hits my break even at this point, we'll break even just like we do. Then it moved further. It got to close sum. Whenever we get to close sum, especially this kind of close sum, there's always been reaction. There's a reaction here. There's a reaction. In fact, in this kind of stuff, I would have closed this trade because I can see that this particular area has been troublesome. There's been a lot of fight in this point. So as soon as it got to this point, you see, I would either close some of my trades, probably bring it to this place or whatever, or close some of my trades. Then it went back. So I wouldn't have lost anything in this trade too. Rather, I would have gained some of it, instead of losing. Anyways, that is that. And you see, you see. So eventually, this close sum, it did not just go back, it went further to the point that it actually hit take profit, hit my stop loss. And anytime it hit my stop loss, it means I can assume that it has changed the trend from sell now to buy. That's the idea. When it hits my take profit, I assume the trend also is going to be reversing soon. When it hits my stop loss, the assumption is that the trend has changed. Then we trade accordingly. It hit my stop loss around here. Remember this candle, this was the stuff. So now we are looking for we've done buy, we've done sell. So now we are in a buy trend now. And a buy trend. How do we know? Because this is now a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Yeah. So at this point, when it got to this point, we want to see, okay, is it possible for me to make some money? I doubt it, but let's try. This is now the low. This is now the high. We go in the direction of the trend. Remember, you see, I even have TP2. Yeah. Anytime there's so, but that's by the way. So it did not hit. So it got to my ready, but it did not hit my entry. So I did not. That means I won't enter this trade yet because it did not hit my entry. It did not get to my stuff. It did not get to my current position. Like I told you, one thing about this particular setting I use is that you will not be able to trade. You will not trade all the time, but most trades you will win. I mean, in fact, if you want, I can actually show you. I can do a video that would show you at least 100 trades using this strategy. The only thing, in fact, I may even just show you TP, what's it called? Entry to TP1. I may not even go ahead to be telling you about close some money. I'm telling you how I trade it so that at least apart from you giving you the tools, giving you the setting, I'm showing you how I manage my own trades. But even just by using entry and you put your stop loss maybe at grace and you target TP1, it is still profitable. It's still profitable. It's one thing I use. The reason why, like lately, like if you've noticed, lately I've been scalping, and that's why, I've not been using it for, I just use it for bigger accounts, for trend. I use it for my trend, whatever, But and I understand not everybody's a scalper. So those of us that don't like scalping, like me, and that I don't like scalping, this is a reliable system that I can tell you. So I don't even remember. I can't even remember what I was talking about. Anyways, so as you can see, this is a sell trend right here. So we just look for anyone that would fall in our category. So yeah, we don't have it yet. And we come here. There's another set. There's another stuff here. Okay, we don't have it here. Then I think this is a swing. Come here. We still do not have. So if there's anything, like I said, I think I've explained earlier, it's that you may not be able to trade every time because you don't always have entries. However, you can trade every time because this same strategy works even as much as five minutes. Fibonacci is everywhere. In fact, let me, the market is a market of Fibonacci, depending if you know how to look at it. Everywhere, they are always, let me just show you one more or two more so that before. Very good. I think I have one here already. Even 5 minutes, there's Fibonacci. There's always a trend somewhere because the 5 minutes trend is different from 1 hour trend. 1 hour trend is different from 15 minutes trend. So it depends on the trend you want to trade. There's always something to trade. And thank God it works for all currencies. So there's always a market, So yeah, this is a sell, surely a sell, a sell, a sell. Surely a sell trend, low, high, then low. Depending on however you want to draw it, because you can draw it this way too. You can draw it this way, and you can draw it this way, and you can draw it that way. Doesn't matter. But this is a sell trend. That's what I'm trying to bring out. At least. Meanwhile, it could be a buy trend in the 5 in 10 in 1 hour. So it doesn't matter. You are looking for sell. As soon as this thing hits this place, as soon as it started buying, we put our stop loss here. We put our take profit entry here. You see, it triggered at this point. It got our close sum. You see, that's one thing I'm telling you guys about this close sum. You have to pay attention to it. See, the moment it closed to close sum here, you see, it went back to entry. The same thing. If you have entered, the same thing. It came here again. It came back here again. It went back to entry. But like I was telling you, even with that, even if you are just, because it still didn't go back to loss, if you just follow the normal simple strategy, enter at entry and target TP1 with the risk to reward, you will still be profitable. You will always come out on top. So what I was trying to say, so you enter the trade. You enter the trade here, and the take profit would be, this is 5 minutes now. Sorry. 15 minutes, sorry. This is 15 minutes. So your take profit, so you would have hit take profit at this point, if you did not even do all the stuff I've been telling you about concerning buy and break even, or if you didn't do all that, you've bought here, you take profit here, you risk 1%, you'd have gotten 2 point something percent at this point. However, if you were doing all of these things, even in the middle of it, we just be closing some trade here and there, back and forth, which is still fine. It depends on however you want to manage your trade. So I'm trying to tell you, this is 15 minutes. I'm trying to tell you that there's always a trend. Depends on the time you want to trade. So we've won this one now. Depends on anything, any trend that you like, that you any swing that you see and you are comfortable with, you can trade it. As far as you are comfortable with it, and look, this is actually a swing. Even as little as this thing, this small thing here, this one is whatever. You see, this one is the high, this is the low, this is a swing. It went up, it hit my entry. You see, it hit my entry, I won. Here's my TP1. In fact, this one did not just hit TP1, it hit TP1 and TP2. TP1, TP2. Hit TP1 and TP2. At that point, we'll be waiting for waiting for reversal to happen. We're waiting for reversal. Reversal happened at this point. How do we know that reversal happened? So you enter this trade, you won that one, so you wait for reversal to happen. So it depends. You can always make something out of the market. It doesn't, no matter the time frame. No matter the time frame. No matter the time frame. You just choose. If you see there's nothing in 1 hour, go to 15 minutes or go to 30 minutes. If there's nothing in 30 minutes, come to 15 minutes. If there's nothing in 15 minutes, go to 5 minutes. Yes, go to 5 minutes. Even in 5 minutes, there's always something. There's usually something to trade. That's what I'm trying to explain. Look at this, for instance. This is the big picture. Yeah. You see, this is the low. This is for this big trade. This is the high, this is the low here. You see, this is our entry right here. This one is a big trade. Why I said big trade is because this same trade, if I go to 1 hour, I'm sure that trade will still be valid. You see, it's still running. Yeah, this is the current trade. Let me go to 1 hour. I'm sure this trade is still there. You see, this because I know that that trend is a big trend. See the trend here, high, low. You entered here, you are still running it. So even from this place, you can see some minor structure. You can let me go to 5 minutes. So it won't look like it's only Lord, the video is already getting too long. But just bear with me. I'm just trying to explain so that some of the questions you might want to have, probably I would have answered them. Oh, before I forget, I've not given you the settings of the the settings of the parameters. Let me just go to the parameters once and for all. Okay, so for my Fibonacci, this is what we do. This is how I set it. Let me give you my exact setting. So so yeah, here I have, how best can I? How best my fib levels. Okay, so I have, let me put it this way, so you can always pause the video or whatever. 0 is my TP1. Then where I have the closed sum, my setting for that is 0.236. That's my setting for closed sum. That's the point whereby there's always a reaction. My break-even point is 0.382. My ready point, for some of you, this might not be important, although I use it sometimes. I know what I use it for, but it's not the common way. I use it when I want to scalp. It's 0.57. Or I also use it when I want to close some trade. Anyways, but my real entry for my trades is 0.7. Some people, most people, in fact, most forex traders, they use 61.8. And you might want to incorporate that too, but this is how I use mine, because 61.8 sometimes too can fail. But because the real concept about this 0.7 for me is that most times, if you check the trade, if you back test it, whenever it gets to 60, gets to my entry, it really goes back. The chances that it will work is far more. The drawdown is usually limited. That does not mean I don't lose trade. I surely lose trades, but it's usually limited. I don't really have as much drawdown before. Anyways, then the 100 is number one. 1 is for 100. Then my what have I said? Okay, then I have TP2, which is when there's a big trend. My TP2 is minus 0.27. Then there's grace 1.05. 1.05. TP1 is 0. So these are the settings. You can go over the video again to check the settings and to set it. So let me know what you feel. Let me know how it works, and let me know the success rate. I'm very confident about this strategy, and I know that if you try it, if you work it out, surely you're going to make some profit out of it. My aim is to help you to make money, and may the people be with us. I will see you next time. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you find value in this video, please like, share, and subscribe. God bless you. Have a nice one. Bye.